Overthinking is one of the most silent forms of self-created suffering, and the most dangerous part is that we don't even realize we are doing it to ourselves. No one forces us to sit and replay a conversation in our mind again and again. No one asks us to imagine worst-case scenarios. No one tells us to assume what others might be thinking about us. And yet we do it constantly. Think about it for a moment. Something small happens. Maybe someone didn't reply to your message. Maybe their tone felt different, or maybe they said something casually. In reality, the moment passes within seconds. But in your mind, it doesn't end there. Your mind picks it up, magnifies it, analyzes it, questions it, and then replays it like a broken record. You start asking yourself, did I say something wrong? Why did they behave like that? Are they upset with me? And without any real answers, your mind begins creating its own stories. This is where the suffering begins, not in the actual event, but in the meaning we attach to it. The truth is, most of the pain we feel is not because of what actually happened, but because of what we think happened. There is a huge difference between reality and imagination, but when we overthink, that line disappears. Our thoughts start feeling real, and our assumptions begin to feel like facts. And slowly, we get trapped in a world that doesn't even exist. It's like watching a movie in your head where you are both the director and the victim. You create the scenes, you write the dialogues, and then you emotionally react to them as if they are happening in real life. And the more you think, the more intense it becomes. What started as a small moment turns into a big emotional burden. Overthinking drains your energy in a way that nothing else does. You may not be physically doing anything, but mentally, you are exhausted. Your mind keeps running without rest, jumping from one thought to another, connecting dots that were never meant to be connected. And by the end of it, you feel tired, anxious, and sometimes even sad without any clear reason. What's even more surprising is that most of the things we overthink about never actually happen. We worry about situations that don't exist. We assume reactions that people never had. We create problems that were never there in the first place. And yet, the emotional impact on us is very real. This is why overthinking is called self-created suffering. Because the source of pain is not outside, it is inside. It is not people, situations, or circumstances that are hurting you in that moment. It is your own mind, your own thoughts, your own interpretations. Imagine holding a glass of water in your hand. It doesn't feel heavy at first, but if you keep holding it for a long time, it starts to feel heavier and heavier. The weight doesn't change, but the strain increases. Overthinking works the same way. The situation may be small, but the longer you hold on to it in your mind, the heavier it becomes. And the worst part is, overthinking gives you an illusion of control. It makes you feel like you are solving something, understanding something, or preparing yourself. But in reality, you are just going in circles. You are not finding clarity, you are creating confusion. Peace doesn't come from thinking more. Peace comes from thinking less and thinking clearly. There is a moment where you need to pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Because not every thought deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your energy. And not every person deserves a permanent place in your mind. You have to understand that your mind is a powerful tool, but if you don't control it, it will control you. And when it does, it doesn't take you towards peace. It takes you towards unnecessary suffering. Letting go of overthinking doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you stop hurting yourself by thinking beyond what is needed. It means you learn to accept things as they are instead of constantly questioning them. It means you choose peace over endless analysis. Because at the end of the day, life is already complicated. Don't make it harder by fighting battles that exist only in your mind. One of the most surprising truths about life is this: you are not the center of everyone else's world. It may sound a little uncomfortable at first, but if you truly understand it, it becomes incredibly freeing. Because the reality is, most people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. They are too busy thinking about themselves, their problems, their responsibilities, their insecurities, and their own lives. And yet, we spend so much of our time assuming the opposite. We walk into a room and feel like everyone is noticing us, judging us, analyzing us. If someone looks at us for a second longer, we start wondering, did I do something wrong? If someone doesn't greet us warmly, we think, maybe they don't like me. If someone doesn't reply to our message quickly, we assume they must be ignoring me on purpose. But the truth is, most of these assumptions are created by our own mind. People are not sitting all day thinking about what you said, what you wore, or how you behaved. They have their own concerns. They are worried about their future, their family, their work, their own image in front of others. Just like you are thinking about yourself, they are thinking about themselves. It's almost like everyone is the main character in their own story. And in their story, you are just one of the many characters, not the focus. The same way you don't spend your entire day analyzing every small thing someone else did, others are not doing that to you either. But when we overestimate how much others are thinking about us, we start living in unnecessary pressure. We begin to filter our actions based on imagined judgments. We stop being ourselves because we are too busy trying to fit into what we think others expect from us. You might stop speaking your mind because you're afraid of what people will think. You might hesitate to try something new because you're worried about how you will be perceived. You might even feel anxious in simple situations, not because anything is wrong, but because your mind has convinced you that all eyes are on you. This constant awareness of others becomes exhausting. It creates a mental burden that you carry everywhere, even when there is no real reason for it. But here's the truth that can set you free. Most people are not paying that much attention. Think about your own life. How much time do you spend thinking about others in such detail? You might notice something for a moment, maybe form a quick opinion, and then move on. Your mind shifts back to your own concerns. That's exactly how others are too. Even if someone judges you for a moment, it usually doesn't last. People forget. They move on. But you, on the other hand, might keep replaying that one moment in your mind for hours, days, or even longer. So the real question is, who is actually holding on to it? You or them? Most of the time, it's you. And this is where unnecessary suffering begins. You give importance to thoughts that don't even exist in other people's minds anymore. You carry a weight that no one else is carrying. Understanding this changes the way you see the world. It allows you to relax. It allows you to be more natural. It allows you to live your life without constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering what others might be thinking. When you realize that people are not focused on you as much as you imagined, you stop trying to impress everyone. You stop trying to be perfect. You stop overanalyzing every small action. Instead, you start living more freely. You begin to speak more honestly, act more confidently, and express yourself without fear. Not because people will always understand you or agree with you, but because you are no longer trapped by the illusion of constant judgment. This doesn't mean that people never think about you at all. Of course, they do sometimes, but not to the extent your mind makes you believe. And even when they do, their thoughts are temporary. They come and go, just like yours. So why give so much importance to something so fleeting? Why let your happiness depend on thoughts that you are not even sure exist? The more you understand this, the lighter you feel. You stop taking things personally. You stop creating stories in your mind. You stop assuming the worst without any real evidence. Instead, you start focusing on what truly matters: your actions, your growth, your peace. Because at the end of the day, your life is not about managing other people's opinions. It is about living in a way that feels true to you. And that becomes possible only when you stop overestimating how much others are thinking about you. When you let go of this illusion, you take back your freedom, you take back your confidence, and most importantly, you take back your peace of mind. Because the moment you stop worrying about being constantly judged, you finally start living. One of the biggest reasons we lose our peace in life is because we try to control things that were never in our control to begin with. We try to control how people behave, how they respond, what they think about us, and how they should treat us. And when reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel hurt, frustrated, and sometimes even broken. But the truth is simple. No matter how hard you try, you cannot control others. You can only control how you respond to them. Think about it. Every person you meet has their own mind, their own experiences, their own beliefs, and their own way of looking at life. Just like you have your own perspective, they have theirs. So expecting someone to always understand you, agree with you, or behave exactly the way you want is not just unrealistic, it is unfair. And yet, we do it all the time. We expect people to reply to our messages quickly. We expect them to respect our feelings. We expect them to behave in a certain way, especially if we have been good to them. And when they don't meet those expectations, we feel disappointed. But the pain is not coming from their behavior. It is coming from our expectations of controlling their behavior. Control is comforting. It gives us a sense of security. We feel that if we can control people and situations, we can avoid pain. But life doesn't work like that. The more you try to control everything, the more anxious you become. Because deep down, you know that things are slipping out of your hands. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. In the same way, the more you try to control people, the more you lose your peace. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of trying to control what others do, you focus on how you respond. Someone ignores you, your reaction is in your control. Someone speaks harshly, your response is in your control. Someone misunderstands you, you cannot control their understanding, but you can control your calmness. This shift may sound small, but it changes everything. When you stop trying to control others, you free yourself from constant disappointment. Because now, you are no longer dependent on someone else's behavior to feel okay. Your peace is not in their hands anymore, it is in yours. There is a deep strength in choosing your response consciously. It doesn't mean you become weak or passive. It means you become aware, you stop reacting impulsively, and start responding wisely. Instead of getting angry immediately, you pause. Instead of assuming the worst, you give space. Instead of letting your emotions take over, you take charge of them. And this is not easy, because our natural tendency is to react. When someone hurts us, we want to hurt them back. When someone disrespects us, we want to prove them wrong. But reacting only gives temporary satisfaction. In the long run, it disturbs your inner peace. Responding, on the other hand, is different. It comes from clarity, not from impulse. It comes from strength, not from ego. It allows you to handle situations without losing yourself in them. You have to realize that people behave based on who they are, not based on who you are. If someone is rude, it reflects their state of mind, not your worth. If someone ignores you, it shows their priorities, not your importance. But when you take everything personally, you give them power over your emotions. And this is where the real problem begins. The moment your happiness starts depending on how others treat you, you become emotionally dependent. Your mood changes with their behavior, your peace depends on their actions, and slowly, without realizing it, you lose control over your own life. But the moment you understand that your response is your power, everything changes. You stop chasing control outside and start building strength inside. You begin to choose peace over reaction. You start asking yourself, is it worth disturbing my mind for this? And many times, the answer is no. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every situation needs your reaction. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is stay calm. Sometimes, the wisest response is silence. And sometimes, the best decision is to simply walk away, not because you are weak, but because you value your peace more than unnecessary conflict. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk over you. It means you set boundaries with clarity, not with anger. You express yourself when needed, but without losing control over your emotions. At the end of the day, life becomes much simpler when you accept this one truth. You cannot control others, but you can always control yourself. And that is more than enough, because when you master your responses, no situation has the power to disturb you completely. You may feel emotions, but you won't be controlled by them. You may face challenges, but you won't lose your balance. And that is where true peace begins, not when the world behaves the way you want, but when you learn to remain steady, no matter how the world behaves. One of the deepest traps we fall into, without even realizing it, is the constant need for validation. The desire to be appreciated, accepted, and acknowledged is natural. It's part of being human. But the problem begins when this desire quietly turns into dependence. When your happiness starts depending on what others think about you, you slowly lose control over your own sense of worth. Think about how often you look for approval in small, everyday situations. You say something and wait to see how people react. You share something and keep checking if others liked it. You make a decision but still feel unsure until someone else agrees with you. In these moments, it may seem harmless, but over time, it creates a pattern where you start trusting others' opinions more than your own, and that's where the problem deepens. Because the moment you start seeking validation from outside, you give others the power to define how you feel inside. If they praise you, you feel happy. If they ignore you, you feel low. If they criticize you, you begin to doubt yourself. Your emotional state becomes like a switch that others can turn on and off depending on how they respond to you. But here's the reality: people's opinions are unstable. They change based on mood, perspective, personal biases, and even their own insecurities. Someone may appreciate you today and criticize you tomorrow. Someone may support you in one situation and misunderstand you in another. If you build your self-worth on something so unstable, you will always feel uncertain. It's like building a house on shifting sand. No matter how strong the structure looks, it will never feel secure. The need for validation also creates pressure. You start living with the constant fear of being judged. You hesitate to express your true thoughts because you're worried about how people will react. You start making choices not based on what feels right to you, but based on what will be accepted by others. Slowly, without realizing it, you stop being yourself. You become a version of yourself that is designed to please others, to avoid criticism, to gain approval. But in the process, you lose your authenticity. And even when people appreciate you, it doesn't feel fulfilling because deep down, you know they are not appreciating the real you. This is why external validation can never truly satisfy you. It gives temporary happiness, but it doesn't give lasting peace. Because no matter how much approval you receive, there will always be a part of you that feels uncertain, that wonders, what if they change their mind? What if I disappoint them next time? True confidence doesn't come from others telling you that you are enough. It comes from you knowing it within yourself. When you stop seeking validation, something powerful happens. You begin to trust your own judgment. You start making decisions based on your values, not on others' expectations. You become less affected by praise and less disturbed by criticism. This doesn't mean you ignore feedback or stop caring about others completely. It simply means that you don't depend on their approval to feel good about yourself. You listen, you reflect, but you don't let it control your identity. There is a big difference between learning from others and living for others. When you constantly seek validation, you are living for others. Your actions are guided by their reactions. Your happiness is tied to their approval. But when you are grounded in your own self-worth, you live from within. Your actions come from clarity, not from fear. Your happiness comes from alignment, not from acceptance. You have to understand that not everyone will agree with you, and that's okay. Not everyone will like you, and that's completely fine. You don't need to be accepted by everyone to be valuable. You don't need constant reassurance to know your worth. In fact, the more you try to please everyone, the more you lose respect, both from others and from yourself. Because people can sense when someone is trying too hard for approval. And more importantly, you start feeling disconnected from who you really are. There is a quiet strength in being comfortable with yourself, even when others don't fully understand you. There is peace in knowing that your value does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. When you let go of the need for validation, you free yourself from a lot of unnecessary stress. You stop overthinking every action. You stop replaying conversations in your mind. You stop questioning your worth based on how others behave. Instead, you start focusing on your growth, your goals, and your inner peace. Because at the end of the day, the most important approval you need is your own. If you can look at yourself with honesty and feel at peace with who you are, nothing else matters as much. People's opinions will come and go, praise will come and go, criticism will come and go, but your relationship with yourself stays. So build that relationship on something strong, on self-respect, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. Because when you truly stop seeking validation from others, you don't just become stronger, you become free. Your mind is one of the most valuable spaces you have, yet most of us treat it as if it has no limits. We allow anyone and anything to enter it, stay there, and take up space. Sometimes even people who don't respect us, don't care about us, or don't add anything positive to our lives. And without realizing it, we start giving them a permanent place in our thoughts. Think about how your day goes. You may be physically present in one place, but mentally you are somewhere else. You are replaying something someone said, imagining conversations that never happened, or thinking about people who are not even thinking about you. Hours pass, and your energy is drained, not because of what you did, but because of what you allowed to stay in your mind. The truth is, your mental space is limited. Just like your home has limited rooms, your mind has limited capacity for focus, attention, and emotional energy. If you fill it with unnecessary thoughts, there will be no room left for what truly matters: your growth, your creativity, your peace, your goals. But most of us don't realize what we are doing. We keep giving importance to people who don't deserve it. Someone may have behaved badly with us once, and we keep thinking about it again and again. Someone may have ignored us, and we keep wondering why. Someone may have hurt us in the past, and we carry that memory with us everywhere. It's almost like we have rented out our mental space for free to people who don't even value it. Imagine this in a physical sense. Would you allow a stranger to walk into your home, sit there all day, create noise, disturb your peace, and refuse to leave? Of course not. You would set boundaries immediately. You would protect your space because you know its value. But when it comes to your mind, you don't do the same. You allow people to enter through your thoughts, and once they are there, they keep occupying your attention. They disturb your peace, distract your focus, and consume your energy. And the worst part is, they may not even know it. They are living their life completely unaware while you are sitting there, giving them space in your mind. This is why protecting your mental space is so important. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your time. And not every thought deserves to stay. You have to start becoming more conscious about what you allow into your mind. Just because a thought comes to you doesn't mean you have to hold on to it. Just because someone did something doesn't mean you have to keep thinking about it for hours. Your attention is a choice. You can choose to focus on what is useful, what is meaningful, what helps you grow, or you can keep giving your energy to things that drain you, frustrate you, and bring you no value. The problem is, we often confuse attention with importance. Just because something is on your mind doesn't mean it is important. It just means you have allowed it to stay there. And the more you think about something, the more important it feels, even if it isn't. This is how small issues become big problems. This is how minor situations turn into emotional burdens. Not because they were big to begin with, but because we kept giving them space in our mind. You have to learn to let certain thoughts pass, just like clouds in the sky. Not every cloud needs your focus. Some come and go on their own, but if you keep staring at them, they seem bigger than they really are. In the same way, if you keep focusing on negative thoughts or unnecessary people, they start occupying more and more space in your mind. Protecting your mental space also means setting internal boundaries. It means deciding what deserves your attention and what doesn't. It means saying no, not just to people, but to thoughts that disturb your peace. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes awareness and practice. You have to catch yourself when your mind starts wandering into unnecessary thinking. You have to gently bring it back to the present. You have to remind yourself that your energy is too valuable to be wasted, because your energy shapes your life. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If your mind is constantly filled with worry, overthinking, and unnecessary people, your life will feel heavy. But if your mind is clear, focused, and peaceful, your life will feel lighter. You deserve that lightness. You deserve a mind that supports you, not one that exhausts you. And that begins with understanding the value of your mental space. You don't need to carry everyone in your mind. You don't need to think about every situation. You don't need to analyze everything that happens. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to simply let go of what doesn't serve you. Because your mind is not a storage place for unnecessary thoughts. It is a powerful space meant for clarity, creativity, and peace. So treat it with respect, protect it with awareness, and most importantly, be careful about who and what you allow to stay in it. Because once you start valuing your mental space, you will naturally stop giving it away so easily.